Can Blake Lively's situation be any worse? New real footage in a damning Reddit post is going viral and drawing some serious attention. No, this isn't just another incident on the red carpet. This is proof that might permanently alter her victim narrative.
Certainly doesn't support her narrative that he was this evil, brutal, bully, sexual harasser, and poor little meek, powerless Blake just had to deal with his aggressive advances. That's just so obviously a lie.
You're probably already aware of the ongoing legal battle between Blake Lively and Justin Baldwin if you clicked on this video. Alright, so lawsuits have been filed, accusations have been made, and the public war is raging. But let's move on to the really damaging stuff. The most recent evidence that's shifting the entire narrative. When Blake Lively chose to publish that scathing piece about Justin Baldwin in the New York Times, she clearly turned this into a highly visible legal battle. And ever then, every single private text message sent by either party has been made public for everyone to see.
It kind of passed. It was over. But like a lot of thin-skinned Hollywood types, she couldn't stand the fact that it was still lingering in any way out there.
However, it's something the entire world hasn't yet witnessed and might be Blake Lively's last blow. We're talking about smuggled tape that shows a totally different dynamic between Lively and Justin Baldwin than the one she's portraying in court. And here it is, May 17th, 2023. Blake believed no one was watching, but regrettably, someone was. As the film comes to a close, we can observe Blake Lively and Justin Baldwin's body language. In contrast to the 30 demands that Blake Lively's team allegedly made during the filming of It Ends With Us, embrace smiles and what seems to be casual, comfortable conversation. This isn't a formal greeting. Rather, it's an embrace, a show of affection, or at the very least, a clear lack of hostility. She should put a lot of effort into setting clear intimacy limits on set, so she doesn't appear to be a helpless victim stuck in an awkward workplace.
This intimacy coordinator says, quote, "From reading their text messages, I do sense that at one point there was genuine affection between them and what felt like a friendship. In my experience, when an actor says, I don't need to meet the intimacy coordinator until we're shooting, as much as it hinders my process, it does typically indicate that they trust their scene partner."
And just Baldwin's attorneys, if this video is shown in court, will probably claim that it discredits Lively. They will point to the hug, the smiles, and the apparent comfort and ask, does this look like a victim of SH? Does this look like a hostile work environment? Absolutely not. We don't know what Blake Lively will say in court, but the footage that is making the rounds online is already influencing public opinion. It's raising serious questions, casting doubt on it, and possibly dismantling the victim narrative Blake Lively has presented. Unfortunately for Blake, there's more. Remember all the drama over that famous rooftop scene during filming? Well, for those in the dark, it's the scene that Ryan Reynolds essentially rewrote, much to the surprise of producers and the rest of the cast and crew, who apparently weren't asked or consulted.
And actually, your husband Ryan Reynolds wrote part of that rooftop scene. Is that true?
Yeah, that's. I mean, I would have to compare it to the original one, but that's 90-something, 99% his. Yeah, he.
So the iconic rooftop scene in this movie, my husband actually wrote it. Nobody knows that, but you know.
In that same well-known scenario, Justin later claimed that Blake's two fierce dragons, whom we now know to be Blake, bullied him into accepting the alterations. Reynolds, Ryan.
Details about meetings like the one they had with Ryan Reynolds, Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni, and apparently, though the name is blacked out, there's an assumption, well-founded, that it's Taylor Swift, her BFF, at the Reynolds penthouse in Manhattan, where Ryan Reynolds allegedly bullied Justin so badly that a Sony representative who was there, the production team behind the movie, and her biggest takeaway was, I am very sorry that I let him get away with doing that to Justin. It was so nasty.
However, it's also one of the scenes where Blake allegedly complained that Justin made her feel uneasy. Let's have a drum R, please, because this is even more never-before-seen behind-the-scenes video of that same rooftop scene. Do you think Blake looks threatened or uneasy?
Video that's been leaked that is on Reddit showed that Blake Lively was laughing and having a good time, and no one could really see that there's anything off here.
These films might make anyone go crazy, But wait until you watch this next one. The evidence against Blake just seems to be mounting. In a Reddit post, Blake Lively described a self-inflicted wound from which she might never fully recover.
This isn't a film about domestic violence. It's a film that covers a lot of things, from first love to being an entrepreneur and opening your first shop and having all your dreams come true, to falling in love, to finding a new best friend, to domestic violence, which you don't hear all of those things in one place.
You heard that right. Blake Lively, the movie star and executive producer, states unequivocally that the film is not about the issue many thought it was portraying. Let's break this down. In the months before the film's release, the marketing, the interviews, and Blake Lively's own social media all pointed to a story about a woman fleeing an abusive relationship. Fans connected with the book's depiction of domestic violence and expected the movie to do the same. However, she goes beyond simply stating that it's not just about DV. She says it's not about DV at all, adding that she isn't defined by anything a man did to.
A film about a woman, because she's not defined by anything any man did to her.
That remark profoundly misrepresents the nature of domestic violence, and the key query here is how she can embrace the person she is accusing of all of this while claiming that the movie is not about domestic violence, but rather appears to be an attempt to improve her reputation.
She's a serial fraudster. That's called fraud. When you pretend you want to do the one thing and you'll do the thing they're hiring you for, but all along you have secret plans to do something very, very different that's above your pay grade.
Thus, there is a glaring contradiction. In a film that was generally believed to be about domestic violence, Blake Lively seems to minimize or flatly deny the subject. And the online firestorm is currently being fueled by this inconsistency, which she said herself. In addition to being a poor PR strategy, it betrays the fans and might seriously damage her reputation in this ongoing court dispute. However, these new videos are not the first damning evidence of its kind to come to light against Blake. Similar and equally damning footage had previously surfaced to refute several of Blake's allegations. For example, Blake says that Justin acted out of character and made her feel very uneasy by pressing against her neck and smelling her during a certain slow dance scene.
She writes, on another occasion, Mr. Baldoni and Ms. Lively were filming a slow dance scene for a montage in which no sound was recorded. Mr. Baldoni chose to let the camera roll and have them perform the scene, but did not act in character as Ryle. Instead, he spoke to Ms. Lively out of character as himself. At one point, he leaned forward and slowly dragged his lips from her ear and down her neck.
Blake was unaware that there existed an uncut version of the scene, though, which made it quite evident that she was in charge and that she gave Justin instructions. Then came this next golden nugget, which was once more captured behind the scenes, most likely when she believed no one was looking. However, Blake is once again giving Justin advice on how to kiss her and draw her in with greater zeal and passion. Even though the video is brief, her body language speaks plenty. Blake doesn't appear to be a victim, which is a commonality with these clips.
It's just disgusting when you go after someone, you try to destroy their life, and actually the evidence shows something different. Blake Lively was no victim here. She was in control, she was in power, and she took over this film.
This leads us to the following point. It's not helpful for her public image. The hug, the discrepancies, and the Reddit post all provide proof. The public is now responding. Furthermore, the internet is unrestrained, in contrast to the meticulously regulated realm of Hollywood public relations. These remarks are not unique. Rather, they represent a chorus of wrath and a wave of disillusionment. Once admirers of Blake Lively are now doubting everything about her, including her character, motivations, and public demeanor. There are many who attempt to defend her, saying that she is being unfairly singled out and that it's all a misunderstanding. However, betrayal is the dominant sentiment on the internet. People are speaking up because they feel deceived and controlled. This film is about me and how awesome I look in these ridiculously costly clothes because my character, like me, can buy 600 crucial pieces of clothing. From a survival tale becomes a display of self-importance. Blake Lively, the mastermind of her own demise, driven down by her own words and deeds rather than by her adversaries alive, color career collapsed. The danger of losing everything is obvious. These days, the backlash is about more than just a movie. It's about authenticity, trust, and the fallout from attempting to manage an uncontrollably escalating narrative.
And she finally bumped into someone who was weak enough and not famous enough to stop.
What would it take for Baldoni to fully recover, even while Blake Lively's own words and deeds are now contributing to her demise? The harm might be permanent, both personally and professionally. Was this a deliberate set of manipulations, a pattern of behavior that was eventually discovered, or was there another, more profound factor at work? There may never be a complete solution to such issues, but one thing is certain: things have changed. The meticulously constructed picture is shaded, and maybe Justin Baldoni can finally start to regain his story, his career, and his image as Blake Lively deals with the fallout. Please share your thoughts about Blake Lively in the comments section below the Hug video and the Reddit article. Does she lie? Do you believe that this marks the start of her